Every struggle you face, every ounce of frustration, fear, and regret comes down to one brutal fact. You're living for everybody else but yourself. You've handed over your life for a few scraps of approval. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life, Steve Jobs warned. But every day you hesitate, every day you doubt yourself, you're letting them win. Tell me, when was the last time you made a decision without wondering who would judge you? When was the last time you lived fully, fearlessly for you? In this video, we're not here to sugarcoat it. We're here to rip off the mask and take your life back. If you take away one thing today, let it be this: you owe the world nothing. You owe yourself everything. Stay locked in, because the bonus lesson at the end could be the wake-up call you've been needing your whole life. Number 1, why living for others will always fail you. A tree that bends with every passing wind can never grow strong roots. And yet, how often do you find yourself swaying, shaped by the invisible hands of others' expectations? The greatest suffering is forgetting who you are, said the wise. You weren't born to be a reflection of someone else's hopes or fears. You were born to be you. But somewhere along the way, perhaps without noticing, you began to live for applause you didn't ask for and chase approval you never needed. Buddhist philosophy reminds us, clinging to the fleeting is the root of suffering. Living for others is exactly that, a desperate clinging to shifting sands. Their moods, their judgments, their praises, they change with the seasons. And so, if you live for them, your happiness becomes fragile, like glass, waiting to be shattered. You feel a temporary high when praised and a deep valley when criticized. Ask yourself, are you letting external winds control your inner weather? In today's world, it's almost a silent epidemic. Social media rewards external validation. Society pressures you to meet milestones you may not even want. Family, friends, colleagues, they build a life blueprint for you, but do they walk in your shoes? When you live based on others' opinions, you become a stranger to your own heart. You start second-guessing your dreams, your feelings, even your worth. And slowly, without even realizing, you drift farther from yourself. But there's a different way, a freer way. Imagine standing like a tree rooted deep in rich, unmoving soil. No matter how harsh the storm or how strong the winds, you remain steady because your roots hold you. Your roots are your self-knowledge, your clarity, your truth. Buddhism teaches mindfulness, becoming aware of what you feel, need, and believe without the noise of outside opinions. Mindfulness is your anchor to yourself, reminding you that nothing outside you can ever complete you or define you. To live for yourself means to trust your own inner voice more than the shouting crowds around you. It means to pause and ask, what would life feel like if you trusted your own roots more than others' approval? It means learning to sit with your own emotions without needing anyone else to validate them. It means making decisions aligned with your values, even when misunderstood. Start small. Each morning, ask yourself, what do I truly want today? Not for anyone else, but for me. Practice saying no when your heart feels heavy with a yes you don't mean. Reflect each evening, did I honor my own truth today? Over time, these tiny acts build the strongest roots imaginable. Buddha said, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. When you no longer hinge your peace on what others think, you unlock a life of calm resilience. You don't need to bend with every opinion. You don't need to please everyone to be worthy. You are already enough, exactly as you are. The answer to your freedom isn't out there. It's right where you stand. Stand firm, stand true. Build a strong, disciplined mind rooted in calm and positive thoughts, and watch how life bends for you, not the other way around. 2. When pleasing others becomes self-betrayal. You cannot drink poisoned water to satisfy another's thirst. Yet every day, without realizing it, you might be sipping little doses of that poison, saying yes when your soul screams no, smiling when your heart feels heavy, nodding along to dreams that aren't yours. Seeking approval is abandoning your soul, the old wisdom reminds us. Each time you mold yourself just to fit into someone else's idea of who you should be, you are quietly betraying the sacred truth of who you already are. Buddhism teaches that clinging to praise, to acceptance, to identity shaped by others is the path to suffering. When you live to please, you live as a guest in your own life. You wear masks stitched together by expectations, losing sight of the face underneath. You trade authenticity for temporary acceptance, not realizing the cost is your inner peace. Ask yourself, where in your life are you drinking poison just to be liked? Today's world doesn't make it easy. From childhood, you're taught that love must be earned by being good, being agreeable, being exactly who others need you to be. At work, at home, even among friends, there's pressure to please, to shrink, to hide parts of yourself, to avoid conflict or rejection. Slowly, invisibly, this becomes normal. You smile through discomfort. You silence your dreams. You make yourself smaller so others can feel bigger. But at what cost? Imagine standing by a clear mountain spring, pure, vibrant, alive. That's your true self. Every time you abandon your needs for someone else's approval, you muddy those waters. Eventually, you can no longer see your reflection. You lose touch with what you want, what you value, what you love. Buddhism invites us back to clarity. Mindfulness teaches, honor your experience without judgment, without the need for permission. When you live mindfully, you start to hear the subtle voice of your own heart, steady, patient, wise. Pleasing others may feel noble in the moment, but true compassion begins within. When you abandon yourself, you cannot authentically love or serve anyone else. How could you, when your own cup is empty? Reflect deeply. Who could you become if you honored your own needs first? What dreams might you finally chase? What peace might you finally feel? Start reclaiming yourself with small steps. When someone asks for your time, check inward. Do I want to give this, or am I afraid to say no? When faced with a choice, pause and ask, what feels true to me? Begin setting boundaries not to push others away, but to protect the sacredness of your spirit. Like a garden, your soul needs nurturing, not constant depletion. The Buddha said, you yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. You are not here to live as an echo of others' desires. You are here to shine in your own light. Remember this. You were never meant to set yourself on fire just to keep others warm. Build a strong, disciplined mind rooted in calm and positive thoughts, and you will finally find the freedom you've been thirsting for. 3. Allow others to dislike you. The sun does not apologize for shining too brightly. It simply rises, casting its light over all, knowing some will bask in it while others seek shelter. And so it is with you. Freedom is accepting that not everyone will walk your path. Yet how often do you dim your light, soften your voice, or twist yourself into something smaller just to be liked? Trying to be universally accepted is a quiet prison, one with invisible bars made of fear and self-doubt. Ask yourself, why do you fear being disliked more than losing yourself? Buddhist wisdom teaches that attachment to reputation, to being seen a certain way, is a subtle but powerful form of suffering. When you live to avoid judgment, you abandon your own sacred journey. You wear masks that do not belong to you. You walk paths that do not lead you home. And slowly, quietly, you lose your way, sacrificing authenticity for temporary approval that never truly satisfies. In today's world, being disliked feels dangerous. Social media, workplaces, even friendships sometimes demand constant performance. Be agreeable, be lovable, be whatever others need you to be. But Buddhism reminds us, life is not about fitting into every hand that tries to hold you. Life is about becoming so rooted in your truth that even when the winds of criticism blow, you stand tall and unmoved. Imagine if the sun hesitated each morning, wondering if its light would offend someone. Imagine if it stayed hidden behind clouds just to avoid disapproval. The world would be darker. And your world becomes darker too each time you hide your truth to avoid being misunderstood. What strength could awaken if you stopped explaining yourself? What dreams could finally take flight if you no longer needed everyone's blessing to chase them? You do not owe anyone your smallness. The ones meant to walk with you will stay. The ones who misunderstand your light were never meant to be your sun. Allowing others to dislike you is not an act of cruelty, it is an act of self-respect. It is honoring the journey you were born to take, whether it is celebrated or criticized. Begin practicing freedom today. The next time you feel the urge to defend your choices, pause, breathe. Remember, you are not here to be understood by everyone. You are here to understand yourself. When someone disapproves of you, let it be. Their judgment is their burden, not yours. Set down the heavy armor of explanation. Stand in the gentle power of silent self-trust. Buddha taught, do not look for sanctuary in anyone except yourself. Your freedom lies not in convincing others, but in becoming so deeply aligned with yourself that their approval becomes unnecessary. You are the sun. You do not need permission to rise. Remember this: those who are meant for your light will never ask you to dim it. Build a strong, disciplined mind, rooted in calm and positive thoughts, and watch how you finally step into the boundless freedom you were always meant to live. 4. When you stop needing validation. A mountain remains unmoved, whether praised or cursed. It stands tall through storms and sunlight, untouched by the passing opinions of the world around it. You too have that power within you. Self-respect grows when external praise becomes irrelevant. But how often have you traded your inner peace for the brief flicker of someone else's approval? How many dreams have you delayed? How many truths have you swallowed just to be accepted by those who can never define your worth? Ask yourself, whose validation are you still chasing, and why? Buddhist teachings whisper the truth most people spend their lives trying to avoid. Clinging to approval is clinging to suffering. When you tie your value to someone else's praise, you give away the key to your own happiness. You become a puppet pulled by invisible strings, elevated by a compliment, crushed by a criticism. But the wisdom of mindfulness shows us another way. The path where self-worth blooms from within, untouched by applause or silence. In the modern world, validation is sold like a drug. Followers, likes, promotions, compliments, small hits of approval that keep you addicted to the outer world, always needing more to feel enough. But Buddhism teaches that the deepest peace comes from within, not without. Imagine living one day where your worth wasn't measured by how many people noticed you, thanked you, or agreed with you. Imagine waking up knowing that who you are is already whole, already valuable, needing no confirmation. Think for a moment. What if today your approval was enough? What would you dare to do if no one's opinion could touch your spirit? What passions would you pursue? What boundaries would you finally set? When you anchor your worth in your own soul, you become unstoppable. Not because you are loud, but because you are immovable. Praise does not inflate you. Criticism does not deflate you. You simply are, strong, steady, sure. Freedom begins when you stop waiting for someone else to give you permission to believe in yourself. It grows stronger every time you affirm your choices, your dreams, your path, even if no one else understands it. Start small. Before posting, performing, or presenting, pause and ask, am I doing this for my own joy, or am I fishing for approval? Before seeking advice, reflect, do I already know what is right for me? Mindfulness trains you to hear your own voice louder than the noise around you. The Buddha taught, no one saves us but ourselves. No one can, and no one may. We ourselves must walk the path. You were never meant to live shackled to applause. You were meant to walk freely, guided by your own inner light. You are already enough, not because someone said so, but because you exist. Remember this, you do not need 1,000 hands to applaud you to be worthy. Build a strong, disciplined mind, rooted in calm and positive thoughts, and let your spirit stand tall like a mountain, unshaken, undefeated, and finally free. 5. Why living for yourself isn't selfish. You must fill your own cup before pouring into another's. Yet, how often are you running on empty, offering pieces of yourself you no longer have to give? We are taught that living for ourselves is selfish, that prioritizing our own needs is wrong. But the truth, echoed in the depths of Buddhist wisdom, is far different. Caring for yourself is the highest form of service to the world. When you are whole, you give freely, without resentment, without losing yourself in the process. When you are depleted, even your kindness becomes strained and unsustainable. Reflect deeply. Are you nourishing yourself as much as you nourish others? Buddhism teaches that true compassion must include the self. Without inner balance, there can be no true outer generosity. Imagine trying to light 1,000 lamps with a candle that's barely flickering. What you offer others will always mirror the state of your own heart. If you are empty, you pass on emptiness. If you are whole, you pass on light. Living for yourself is not about isolation or arrogance. It is about building a foundation so strong that your love and wisdom can flow effortlessly into the world without needing anything in return. In today's world, self-sacrifice is often praised as a virtue. You're told to be everything for everyone, to keep giving even when it hurts. But Buddhism invites you to see the deeper wisdom. The greatest service you can offer is to first become a sanctuary for yourself. Only then can you truly become a refuge for others. If you are exhausted, bitter, or hollow inside, what kind of service can you truly give? Filling your own cup is not selfish, it is necessary, it is sacred. Consider your own life. What becomes possible when you treat yourself as sacred? Maybe you finally pursue that dream you keep shelving for others. Maybe you say no without guilt. Maybe you protect your energy, your peace, your truth, not out of cruelty, but out of profound respect for the life you have been gifted. When you honor your own needs, you model for others what self-love looks like. You give them permission to do the same. And in this way, you create a ripple of true compassion, one that starts within and spreads outward, touching lives not with obligation, but with genuine presence. Start today by making a promise to yourself, to listen inward before rushing outward, to offer yourself the patience you so easily offer others, to tend to your inner soil before trying to grow gardens in someone else's life. Buddhist mindfulness practices teach us to come home to ourselves first. to breathe, to observe, to heal. From this rooted place, true giving becomes natural, effortless, and free. The Buddha said, "You yourself deserve your love and affection." Your life is not a sacrifice. It is a celebration of existence itself. Remember this. You were not born to burn out for others. You were born to burn bright for yourself, and in doing so, light the way for others. Build a strong, disciplined mind rooted in calm and positive thoughts, and let your fullness be your greatest gift to the world. 6. When you focus on your own standards. An artist who paints for applause forgets how to see beauty. Imagine pouring your soul into a masterpiece only to abandon your own vision at the first sound of silence from the crowd. This is the quiet tragedy of living by external standards, always creating, achieving, existing for the gaze of others. Buddhism teaches us a profound truth. Live by inner standards, not external trends. True peace is born the moment you shift your measurement of success from how others see you to how you feel about yourself. Reflect for a moment. Whose standards are you currently living by? In today's noisy world, external expectations scream louder than our own intuition. Social media, cultural milestones, family pressures, all of them push a narrative of what a worthy life should look like. But Buddhist philosophy reminds us that chasing the world's definition of success is like chasing the horizon. You will never reach it, and you will exhaust your soul trying. Instead, we are called to a radical practice of mindfulness, setting our own standards, honoring our own journey, and letting go of the need to impress. Imagine living a life measured not by likes, promotions, or approval, but by the quiet pride you feel when your head touches the pillow at night. Imagine choosing goals that align with your soul, not the trends of the hour. Think about it deeply. What would your life look like if your only competition was your previous self? You would stop rushing to catch up with someone else's timeline. You would begin walking your own path at your own pace, guided by an inner compass that cannot be bought, manipulated, or broken. This shift does not happen overnight. It is a conscious decision made moment by moment to ask yourself not, "What will they think?" but, "What feels true for me?" Buddhism encourages this mindful checking in. It teaches that wisdom is not found in the noise, but in the quiet knowing of your own heart. When you live for your own standards, life becomes a form of meditation. Each choice, each action, a brushstroke in the painting of your authentic life. To begin, start setting internal goals. Not, "I must earn their admiration," but "I will honor my creativity today." Not, "I must be seen as successful," but "I will be true to my values today." Internal goals empower you. They remind you that you are the artist, not the audience. They free you from the endless race of comparison, allowing you to move steadily, joyfully, peacefully toward the life that belongs uniquely to you. The Buddha taught, "Your work is to discover your world, and then with all your heart, give yourself to it." Your life is not a performance for others. It is a sacred creation that only you can shape. Remember this. When you stop painting for the crowd and start painting for your soul, beauty returns. Build a strong, disciplined mind, rooted in calm and positive thoughts, and live by the masterpiece within, not the applause without. 7. Why your worth was never meant to be negotiated. A diamond doesn't haggle over its value at the market. It shines because it exists. Its worth is intrinsic, untouched by bargaining voices around it. Yet so many of us walk through life offering our souls up for auction, negotiating our value based on who accepts us, who praises us, who stays or leaves. But Buddhism reminds us of a deeper truth. Your existence is proof of your worth. You do not have to earn your right to be here. You do not have to negotiate for the love, the respect, or the dignity that is already yours. Reflect quietly. Where are you still bargaining for your own worth? In a world obsessed with performance and validation, it is easy to forget. From a young age, we are taught that achievement, appearance, or likability define our value. So, we hustle for approval, shrinking parts of ourselves to fit in, wearing masks to gain applause. But Buddhism teaches another way, the way of unconditional self-acceptance. Just as a mountain does not justify its height or a river its flow, you do not need to justify your existence. You are already enough, simply by being. Imagine the freedom that awakens when you no longer place your worth in someone else's hands. When you stop asking, "Am I good enough for them?" and start affirming, "I am whole as I am." Imagine moving through life grounded like the earth itself, unchanged by the storms of opinion, unshaken by the changing tides of others' perceptions. Take a breath and ask yourself, what happens when you decide your value is unconditional? When you stop negotiating your worth, you reclaim your life. You stop over-explaining, over-apologizing, over-giving just to be seen. You realize that true love, true connection, true peace begins not when others finally approve, but when you approve of yourself. Buddhism teaches us that clinging to external validation only deepens suffering. It keeps you trapped in a cycle of craving and disappointment. True liberation comes when you recognize that your value has never been up for debate. It is eternal, untouchable, and whole. Begin this practice by noticing the moments when you are tempted to bargain with your soul. Notice when you seek permission to be yourself. In those moments, pause. Return to your breath. Return to your center. Remind yourself, I am already enough, not because of what I achieve, but because I exist. This mindset does not make you arrogant. It makes you authentic. It roots you deeply in the kind of inner peace that no praise or criticism can disturb. The Buddha said, "You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. Your worth is not a project to complete, a race to win, or a prize to be awarded. It is your birthright. Remember this, you were never meant to be auctioned, you were meant to shine. Build a strong, disciplined mind rooted in calm and positive thoughts, and live each day as proof of your priceless existence." 8. Let go of the illusion of control. You can try to hold the wind in your hand, but no matter how tightly you close your fist, it slips through your fingers. Trying to control how others see you, how they react, how they feel about you, is exactly the same. Buddhism teaches attachment to control is the birthplace of suffering. Yet day after day, we exhaust ourselves sculpting images, curating words, adjusting who we are, hoping for the right reaction. But at what cost? Ask yourself quietly, what are you still trying to control that you need to surrender? The truth is, no amount of effort can guarantee you will be liked, understood, or accepted by everyone. And that's not a flaw in you. It's simply the nature of existence. Imagine carrying a heavy bag everywhere you go, filled with everyone's opinions, judgments, and expectations. How far could you walk before you collapse under its weight? Buddhism offers a radical, freeing truth. You are responsible only for your own actions, not for the emotions, opinions, or stories others create about you. Their perception is their own wind. It cannot be contained, only observed. Picture a tree standing tall in the middle of a storm. It does not waste its strength trying to calm the wind. It simply roots itself deeper into the earth. Likewise, Your peace lies not in changing others, but in anchoring yourself. Your inner world is yours alone to tend to. So, the next time you feel the urge to explain yourself, defend your choices, or mold yourself for approval, pause, breathe. Trust that you are already enough without managing anyone else's story about you. Reflect on this. How much peace would you gain by trusting instead of grasping? Imagine waking up each day without the exhausting mission of controlling outcomes. Imagine speaking your truth not to convince, but simply to express. Imagine letting others walk their paths, even if their path leads them away from you. Buddhism calls this non-attachment, and it is not indifference. It is deep, profound love for yourself and for reality as it is. This shift is not about becoming careless, it's about becoming free. Free to act from integrity rather than fear. Free to love without demanding to be loved back perfectly. Free to create without needing applause. When you release the illusion of control, you rediscover your own strength. You become like the mountain, unmoved by fleeting storms, or the river, flowing without apology. The Buddha said, "Let go or be dragged." And today, you are invited to let go, not of dreams, not of kindness, not of hope, but of the chains that tie your peace to forces you can never command. You are here to live, to love, to grow, not to grasp desperately at shifting winds. Remember this: your power lies not in controlling, but in trusting yourself enough to let life flow. Build a strong, disciplined mind, rooted in calm and positive thoughts, and walk your path, free and unshaken. 9. Anchor yourself in inner peace, not outer approval. Imagine a lotus blooming in the middle of a murky pond, untouched by the muddy waters surrounding it. Its beauty doesn't depend on the clarity of the water or the conditions of the world. It simply remains true to itself, rooted in the mud, yet unshaken by it. Buddhism teaches us that peace is not found in avoiding the storm, but in becoming still within it. This truth holds a powerful lesson for all of us. How often do we find ourselves seeking external approval, the perfect circumstances, or an ideal environment to feel at peace? But peace, true peace, cannot be found outside. It must be cultivated within. Take a moment to reflect. Where are you still depending on outside conditions to feel peaceful? Are you waiting for the perfect relationship, the dream job, or the approval of others to feel content? These external factors may bring temporary relief, but they cannot be the source of lasting peace. In fact, depending on them to find your calm is like searching for a solid ground on shifting sand. No matter how hard you try, the external world will never be perfect or predictable. It will always change, always throw you off balance if you let it. The wisdom of Buddhism offers us a path to liberation. Instead of waiting for the world to give us peace, we must anchor ourselves in it no matter what chaos surrounds us. Your inner world, the way you choose to respond, the way you choose to remain calm, determines the peace you experience. You don't need to change the storm, you need to change your response to it. You can be like the lotus, thriving in the mud, rooted deeply in your own heart, unmoved by the turbulence outside. What would it be like if you could carry peace within you, regardless of your surroundings? How can you practice carrying peace within you today? The key lies in cultivating a centered heart that doesn't need the world to approve of it. It's about finding stillness in your own presence, trusting that you are enough, regardless of external conditions. The world may be chaotic, but you can still choose to remain calm. This practice doesn't mean avoiding challenges or denying emotions. It means you allow yourself to feel, but you don't let those feelings control you. You acknowledge the storm, but you don't let it uproot your peace. True strength comes when you don't need the world to change to find your balance. You find it within yourself. Each moment you choose to respond with calmness instead of reaction, you reinforce your inner peace. Every time you stop waiting for others to approve of you, you become more rooted in your true self. This is the essence of living for yourself. You are no longer dependent on others for validation or peace. You carry your peace wherever you go, letting it be the anchor that holds you steady through life's storms. So today, practice this. Stop looking outside for your peace and turn inward. You are your own sanctuary, your own source of calm. And in that calm, you will find the freedom to truly live for yourself. 10. Detach from the performance of life. Imagine a flickering flame in a dark room. It doesn't try to put on a show, it simply burns, shedding light in every direction without seeking applause or acknowledgement. It doesn't worry about being perfect or how it's perceived. It is simply what it is. This is the essence of life when you detach from the performance of it. Too often, we get caught in the trap of living for the approval of others, wearing masks and playing roles to meet expectations. But in reality, your life is not a stage, and you are not a character. You are the flame, authentic, present, and powerful, not defined by the role you play. How often do you find yourself performing in life, pretending to be someone you're not, just to gain approval or avoid judgment? Maybe at work, in relationships, or on social media, you feel the pressure to present a version of yourself that fits an ideal, a persona designed to be liked or admired. But here's the truth. The greatest gift you can offer the world is simply showing up as your real self, unpolished, raw, and imperfect. This is where true freedom lies. Ask yourself, where are you performing rather than being real? Are you putting on a smile that doesn't reflect your inner feelings? Are you pretending to be confident when you feel uncertain? Are you sacrificing your own authenticity to fit into someone else's version of success or happiness? The weight of these performances can be exhausting. It's a constant effort to maintain an image, to keep up appearances, and to be something you're not. But in doing so, you miss the most important part of life, just being yourself. Buddhism teaches us that the root of suffering is attachment. Attachment to external validation, to approval, to the need for recognition. When you live for the applause of others, you create an illusion of self-worth that is fragile and fleeting. You may receive praise one moment and criticism the next, leaving you on an emotional roller coaster. But when you release the need to perform, you step into a state of freedom. You no longer depend on the shifting winds of external validation to feel good about yourself. Imagine what your life would feel like if you didn't have to act for applause anymore. What if you could simply exist, showing up exactly as you are, without worrying about what others think? This doesn't mean you stop caring about others or lose the desire to grow. It means you let go of the constant need to prove yourself. You allow yourself to be human, flawed, messy, and beautiful. You trust that your true self, not the mask you wear, is enough. Let go of the exhausting need to perform. Embrace the peace that comes from simply being. The world doesn't need more versions of someone else's idea of success. It needs you, the real you. Show up as yourself, without apologies or pretenses. That is where your greatest power lies. The more you release the performance, the more you'll experience true freedom, peace, and the power of living for yourself. You are the flame. Let it burn brightly and authentically. 11. Compassion begins with yourself. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast desert, parched and weary. You want to help others cross this arid landscape, offering them water, comfort, and relief. But what if your own jug is empty? How can you give to others when you haven't first taken care of your own needs? Compassion begins with yourself. You cannot pour healing waters from an empty jug. You cannot offer peace to others without first making peace within yourself. Many of us are conditioned to give, to care for others, and to be there for everyone else. We rush to offer kindness, support, and understanding to those around us, all while neglecting the deep well of kindness that we owe ourselves. But here's the paradox. The more we fail to care for ourselves, the less we are able to care for others. If you are constantly running on empty, your well of compassion runs dry, leaving nothing to offer those who need it most. The best way to extend love, care, and peace to others is by first showing that same love, care, and peace to yourself. When was the last time you treated yourself with the same tenderness you offer to others? If a friend came to you with a broken heart, you would listen with patience, offer comfort, and gently encourage them to heal. But when was the last time you extended that same grace to your own wounds? How often do you forgive yourself when you fall short? When do you show yourself the same compassion that you so freely give to others? Buddhism teaches that true compassion is not a one-way street. It doesn't begin with others, it starts with you. Self-compassion is the root from which all other compassion grows. If you fail to nurture yourself, you will find yourself unable to nurture the world around you. You cannot give what you do not possess. So, the key to creating peace in your life and in the lives of others is to begin with yourself. When you hold your own pain tenderly, without judgment or criticism, you create the space for healing, not just within your own heart, but for the hearts of those you encounter. Imagine what could happen if you practiced self-compassion every day. What would it feel like to accept your flaws, your mistakes, and your imperfections with kindness instead of self-criticism? What would change in your life if you forgave yourself truly and fully for the wounds you've carried for so long? The key to peace, inside and out, lies in your ability to be compassionate with yourself. It's in letting go of self-judgment and embracing your humanity with grace. So, ask yourself, what wounds inside me are still waiting for my own forgiveness? What parts of myself do I need to nurture before I can fully offer love and healing to others? Self-compassion is not selfish. It is the most profound way to serve the world. When you fill your own cup with kindness, you naturally overflow with love for others. Begin with yourself and let that compassion ripple out, touching everything and everyone in your life. You are worthy of your own love, and the world will be better for it. Bonus lessons. Create your own path fearlessly. Picture a river winding through jagged mountains, cutting its own path through the rock with persistence, not force. It doesn't seek permission, nor does it look for approval. It simply flows, carving its way through the obstacles in front of it. This is how you must live your life. The path to your true self isn't one that someone else has already walked. It is a road that you must carve out for yourself, step by step. The journey to yourself is the highest pilgrimage. In a world filled with expectations, pressures, and predefined paths, it's easy to feel lost, overwhelmed, and even unfulfilled. Society tells us what success looks like, how to behave, and what we should want. But what if all of that is simply noise? What if the real success is living a life that feels true to your heart, even if no one else understands it? The road to your own truth is not a freeway. It's a winding, unpredictable journey. It requires patience, courage, and the willingness to take the first small step into the unknown. Are you following a path designed for someone else? If you've been chasing someone else's idea of success, whether it's the perfect career, the right relationship, or the external validation of others, then you're walking a road that was never meant for you. It's not your path, it's someone else's. And no matter how much you try to follow it, you will never feel fully satisfied because it doesn't honor who you are at your core. The good news is, you don't need to follow the herd. You don't need to adhere to society's expectations. You are not bound by the roles and labels that others place on you. The path to freedom begins when you start creating your own way. Think of the river. Each drop of water moves at its own pace, guided not by the land around it, but by its own flow. It's not about force, it's about persistence. It's not about rushing to the destination, it's about being true to your journey. You must carve your own path with patience and heart. What would it feel like to stop worrying about what others think and instead focus on what you truly want? Imagine stepping off the beaten path, trusting that each step, no matter how small, is a step towards something that feels authentic to you. This is your journey. No one else can walk it for you. Start with one small step today. It might be a decision as simple as saying no to something that doesn't align with your values, or choosing a new direction that feels more true to you. It doesn't matter how small the step is, what matters is that it's your step, and it's a step toward a life that honors your true self. Are you ready to stop living for others and start living for yourself? Carve your path, persist through the obstacles, and trust that the journey you're on is the highest pilgrimage you can take. Quick summary of the principles. Why living for others will always fail you. Living to please others traps you in a cycle of endless dissatisfaction. True fulfillment comes only when you live in alignment with your own values and inner truth, regardless of external approval. When pleasing others becomes self-betrayal, constantly adjusting yourself to win others' acceptance leads you away from your authentic self. Honoring your own needs is not selfish, it's essential for a life of integrity and peace. Allow others to dislike you. Freedom begins the moment you allow others to form their own opinions about you without feeling responsible for their reactions. You cannot live fully if you are enslaved by the fear of judgment. When you stop needing validation, when your self-worth no longer depends on others' praise or recognition, you unlock a deep sense of freedom. You become powerful when your inner approval is more important than external applause. Why living for yourself isn't selfish. Prioritizing your growth, well-being, and peace is the foundation for truly helping others. Only by living fully for yourself can you overflow with authentic love and wisdom. When you focus on your own standards, stop measuring your success by societal trends or external achievements. Live according to your personal values, dreams, and progress, and you'll experience genuine contentment and mastery. Why your worth was never meant to be negotiated. Your value is innate and absolute, not something that fluctuates based on opinions, achievements, or failures. Recognizing your inherent worth sets you free from endless striving and self-doubt. Let go of the illusion of control. Trying to control others' perceptions and outcomes only leads to suffering. Peace blossoms when you release attachment and trust the flow of life instead of fighting against it. Anchor yourself in inner peace, not outer approval. Lasting peace doesn't come from a perfect environment, but from cultivating a stable, calm mind. True serenity arises when you learn to remain centered, even amid chaos and uncertainty. Detach from the performance of life. You are not here to perform for acceptance or applause. You are here to live, love, and express your truth without filtering or masking yourself to fit societal expectations. Compassion begins with yourself. You must first show deep kindness and forgiveness toward yourself before you can authentically extend it to others. Healing yourself is the beginning of healing your world. Create your own path fearlessly. You are not meant to walk someone else's journey. Embrace the courage to forge your own path, trusting that every small, authentic step is a powerful act of freedom and self-respect. In a world full of noise, expectations, and endless distractions, the most radical act of courage is to live for yourself. To stand tall in your truth, even when the world demands conformity, is to truly honor the gift of life you have been given. Freedom is not found in pleasing everyone. It is discovered in honoring your soul's deepest whispers. There is profound strength in realizing that you owe no one your silence, your obedience, or your smallness. Every step you take towards self-trust and authenticity dissolves the invisible chains that have kept you tied to the fear of judgment. Your life was never meant to be a compromise. It was meant to be a blazing, unapologetic expression of who you really are. When the mind is free, the path becomes clear. The true journey is not about seeking validation, but about shedding illusions of control, perfection, and approval. True peace arises when you become unshakable in your presence and unapologetic in your living. Today, choose yourself. Choose the path that ignites your spirit, not the one that wins you applause. Choose the voice that comes from within, not the noise that comes from outside. You are the artist of your existence. Paint a life that feels deeply, courageously, and brilliantly your own. At the end, if you found value in these insights, don't forget to like and share this video. Tell us your thoughts in the comment box. We would love to hear from you. And subscribe to Deep Wisdom for more inspiring Buddhist insights on living a peaceful, powerful life.